Hey, History of Psych peeps, how you doing? Steve, hope things are going well. Wanted to do just a very quick video to, um, I don't know, kind of justify, I guess, my approach on the peerScholar activities, and just to make sure we're all very clear on, how we are approaching the grading of them, because at least some of you were surprised and disappointed, I should say, about the grade you received. And so I really want to kind of give you the bigger context. And I fully believe every educator should be able to justify way they do things. So it's a good opportunity for critical thought. I know some of you guys would like to think along. So let me share with you my thinking, both to make it clearer, what peerScholar 1 was about, especially because I messed up with the comments. That's my fault totally. But also to set the stage for peerScholar 2 and make sure that we're all on a common understanding. So I want to start here. I've got two very badly drawn lines here, but I'll explain to you what these things are. This is just a freehand sketch, so I apologize for the crappiness. But the idea is, imagine the pre-COVID world where we weren't doing so much assessment online. What would we see? We would see a distribution of students' work. But if you had to physically attend and write all your, say, quizzes that we're doing now physically present, I guarantee you we'd see a very different distribution than what I'm seeing. We would see a distribution where the average student was probably getting around 70 to 75% correct. Maybe upwards of 80%, but probably closer to the 70-75. And that some students were doing quite well, though. There would still be some students that were getting the 80s and 90s. What happens when we go to fully online? Well, the distribution shifts. The marks go higher. Why do the marks go higher? Because information becomes available. And I've warned you guys not to use the information that's available, but I know you do. And I'll show you directly in mTuner, why I know you do. And so what that does is it bunches everything up. Okay, those people that would have scored low, they get access to the information, and probably especially these people, right, who hadn't studied, who hadn't done whatever. They look for the information online, they get it, and because they can get it, they're able to score somewhere higher than they would. And so the average shifts to a much higher grade. I'm not that worried about the average shifting, although I really don't like the cheating, mostly because you're cheating yourself. You're trading your learning for a grade, which I think is a bad trade for you personally. But that aside, I tell you who I really care about? These guys. These students who would have been doing really well, doing everything in the honest, appropriate way. So there are students who would have gotten their 90 to 95% on mTuner simply without access, and there are some who are right now in your course, who are not looking at online information, not part of your Facebook page, not part of your information sharing, and they're still doing very well. But you know what sucks about these people? There's other people in the room with them that are not putting the time and effort into it, that are now, maybe they put some time and effort into it, and maybe they would have had an average over here, but now they have access to information, and that puts their mark over here as well. And so suddenly the best students in the class look average. They look just like all the other students in the class. To me, that's not fair. So I've heard people say, marking peerScholar hard is not fair. It is fair, okay? If the same standards are applied to all students, that's fair and equitable. What you're saying to me is you're finding that I'm being challenging, that the bar is high, I'm expecting a lot. And I'm saying to you, yes. Yes. And why? Because these guys can meet that bar. These guys shifted over there are going to have trouble meeting that bar. These are people who do average work, okay? And so I want the really good students to be able to show that they are really good students by doing better on my course than the average students. How do I do that? I create activities that are challenging, that you have to be a good student to be able to do well. That requires a little bit of thought on your side, figuring stuff out. It means I'm not going to give you a nice little rubric that says do this, 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 and then you guys all go check, 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 check. Therefore, I get 10 out of 10. No, I'm going to give you a very open-ended activity, and I'm going to say do the best you can, and some of you will do really great. And those are the people that get 4 out of 4. And those that are doing average work, we could call that a 2 out of 4. And if it's a little better than average, that's 3 out of 4. Okay, so don't think of a 2 out of 4 as I failed or whatnot. Think of, you're on peerScholar, that's kind of average. 50% is kind of average. And we've got a lot of room there for the bright students to shine. We then take, that's only worth 25% of the class, right? That's the 25% where the bright students get to shine. And then the other 75%, they're lumped in with everybody else who's using whatever means they can to get the highest mark they can get. I feel that my approach is the right approach. I feel those people should be rewarded. I feel that open-ended activities that are a little ambiguous, I know they don't make you comfortable. I know they sometimes mean you give me bad ratings. So be it. I think those are real life situations where your boss just asks you to do something but doesn't give you a checklist. He just wants you to do something, and then you come back and show them how well you did it. And if you did it really well, then they're very impressed. That's what we're doing with peerScholar. Okay, so, and by the way, just to back this up a little bit, I just wanted to show you this real quickly. If we go to MTuner, here's MTuner. If I literally look at the quizzes, and let's not say quiz 1 so much because it's way up there anyway. 88% mean. You guys are 88% on quiz 2. You're 88%. 90% on quiz 3. You're 88% on quiz 4, and etc. It goes on. Let me go to quiz 7, the last one you guys have done. 86% on quiz 7, so maybe it's dropping a little bit. But come on, the average student in my class is like 89%. Yeah, I'm not buying it. These are wind aided. They are, they are whatever. And so they are what they are. This is the great challenge for higher ed is how to do fair and equitable assessments online. You guys make it really hard for us to do that. But please don't get a little upset if in this other assessment mode I have a way of rewarding those students who are being punished by the cheating that's going on. They're not being punished, but they're not being allowed to show how good they are, and I want them to be allowed that. Okay, so with all that said, and I'm all ears. Come back to me. Where is my logic wrong? Feel free. I like critical discussion. I'm all for it. Just we can have it right under this video. We can have a little bit of discussion if you want, but unless and until I'm convinced otherwise, this is the same logic we're going to apply to peerScholar 2. We will have comments on peerScholar 2. Again, I feel horrible about that. But we will be looking at, this vague definition, how well you can show us your character and the character you're speaking with through the dialogues that you create. And that's a very open-ended, ambiguous task. Yeah. It is. So do it and do it as well as you can. But expect that if you just do an average job, you're going to get about a 50% on peerScholar. That's just sort of how it works. Okay. I thought I had a last point to make on this. Oh, I do have a last point to make. What I would like to do and what I will try to do, just to kind of give you a final point to go with what I'm suggesting here, is I'm going to look for some of those people who did really good despite the fact that it was challenging and that we marked tough. There are still some great students who did some really amazing work, and we'll reach out to 1 or 2 of them and we'll ask if they will allow us to share their work without their name, but share their work with the entire class. Just so you can get a sense, those of you who think your work was so fantastic, I'd like you to see work that we thought was fantastic and say, that's what a 4 out of 4 looks like. So, when you're asking why you have a 2 out of 4, I would like to give you an example of a 4 out of 4. So, yeah, that's a task for me. I will get on that. But the task for you is to think about what I just said, and feel free to counter argue. But please don't say I'm being unfair, because fairness means applying the same standards to all, and I am doing that. If you want to argue that I should not be expecting as much of you, or I should be giving you better grades if you just do something and put in a lot of work, make that argument as well as you can. I will listen, I will think, and I will react, and I stand open to be convinced. Okay? later, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna stop there. Bye bye.